I guess the big question everyone always has is that you guys have, I spoke to Spec and I've spoken to Mucho and stuff, and but you go to New York and you see Teddy, the super producer, because he even at that stage he had done Make It Last Forever. He was doing all the hip hop stuff and the guy
Right.
stuff, playing and he's a keyboard player. So what was it like for you as a keyboard player, watching him
Oh
in those
man, it was
early days?
inspirational. The funny thing is that before we even got the opportunity, I was working at this convenience store, and I was listening to Keith Sweat, and I was like, man, I love this vibe. This,
Yeah, one of
what
my
I'm saying?
favorite
I said I
albums.
would love to, I was like, I would love to work for the producer that made this stuff, which is, I didn't know who Teddy Riley was, 'cause I didn't actually have the record. I just used to listen to it on the radio,
Okay, okay.
and I was like, yo, man, I would love to work with that producer. So once we got the opportunity, and I, what I'm saying, it's like, it was super inspirational. I used to go leave rehearsal from today, and I would go to the studio and, like, sleep under the console, what I'm saying, and watching Teddy and watching Dave Way and Bernard Bell, what
Oh,
I'm
so
saying.
but those guys were with him back in those early days.
Yeah, man, those guys, like, Bernard really showed me a lot about the drum machine. Both he and Mucho showed me a lot about working the MPC,
Mm.
and like saying, just watching Ted um, create, saying, with the engineer and Bernard, the way they created was really cool.
And okay, I guess I mean because we're going to get into your career progression, and I guess I want to get back to you today. They're doing their rehearsals, they're performing. Are you still learning? Are you still playing your keyboards? Are you still playing instruments? Are you still keeping that going, or what are
Oh,
you doing?
oh yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, the one thing about being a roadie is, like, I had the whole stage to myself. So,
Ah, okay.
what I'm saying? So, like, when you get to a gig and you got to set up the equipment, the keyboards, it's like, okay, sound guys, like, play that keyboard for me. So
Okay.
I would get, I would, play, to do the warm ups for, different parts, so I can, I would play different parts of the song with the drum machine, with the whole thing playing,
Yeah.
to make sure everything was working. So I would get my practice there, and then, like I said, me being the roadie, and I was really like, today's production manager, because they only had me at the time. So
Wow.
I would have a key to the locker to bring stuff home. So when we would get back, I would bring the drum machine out and the keyboards out, and then I had all of the whole, saying, GR production, New Jack Swing sound set. I had the whole briefcase. So
Wow.
I was one of the ones that had a backup copy of all the shows.
So in those early days, then you were there. Was it today, Basic Black and Guy, or was there any other groups that were part of the show and all that?
Initially, it was like, Basic Black was just a backup band for today. So
Okay.
Today Guy. We did a few shows with Abstrac.
Okay, Mary and
Zan was
Marsha.
around. I mean, Zan was around, but he was more or less in the round of, writing capacity. You know what I'm saying? And
Okay, yeah.
we heard his album, but it wasn't out yet.
Okay.
Then yeah, who else we had? Deja,
Redhead.
um, the group Deja,
Yeah, and Redhead Kingpin.
Redhead Kingpin. That's my dude. That's my
Okay.
dude right there. You know what I'm saying? And Rex and Effect, of course. So
Okay.
yeah. So that was
Was
like that was all of the guys that originally, said we were around when we first got to New York.
and so I mean, had you heard about these guys before you moved to New York? Because you said
Uh,
you yeah.
Rex and Effect, yes. Today, him and me, I only knew the Him and Me record,
Okay.
and that was, what I'm saying. But other than that, I
And
didn't know
Guy, I'm sure
anybody.
you've known about Guy and when they
Yeah,
came down.
Guy, of
Yeah.
course. Guy, of course.
Yeah.
They were. I mean, they were like the that was like the group at the time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then from your point, so when you're at the back doing all this stuff, were you then thinking, what was your idea about where you wanted to go? Did you think I wanted to go in production? Did you think I want to be on stage? What did you were you when you were watching all this stuff and doing all the production stuff? Did you have a vision as to where you wanted to go to?
Not really. I mean, initially it was just, I was just like, saying super like hype about being around a production being around just the atmosphere. It wasn't necessarily to produce. I mean, that was in, of course, in your back of your brain. I would learn how to do that, but that wasn't my drive. Initially, it was just like, okay, I'll be, saying Abstrac, which was the plan. I was going to be Abstrac's MD, music director, and
Okay.
I'll learn how to program their stuff. And we were really cool, saying Marsha and
And
Mary,
Mary.
saying Topaz. So
Yeah.
we're kind of like developing a relationship as like, okay, this guy didn't make today's band, but he gonna be y'all's like keyboard, programmer and things like that.
Wow.
So we started making that kind of connection. You know what I'm saying? So initially it was just to be a part of the band was my ambition at the time.
But how? I mean, a lot of people, as I said, a lot of us who followed Teddy from a long time ago, look at GR Productions and think, well, that was the first sort of, we have Uptown, we had Bad Boy, we had Death Row, but before all of that stuff, I mean, Motown was probably the only other label that had like all that talent under one roof and everyone was together. But that was in the '60s. So when you come into the '80s, that GR Production had all that talent, and it's a pity that it didn't, it fell apart quickly. But what was it like when you've got Abstract doing their thing there, you've got Today, you've got Guy, you've got Deja, you've got all this stuff. I mean, did you just think, wow, we're going to take over the music?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, Gene's, God rest his soul. I mean, Gene's, his drive was to, because he would talk to us about certain things. He's like, his thing was to create a situation where you had every group, a girls group, a guy group, a solo male, solo female.
Wow.
And like, the rap group. So he could do just like, with the Motown days, the Motown reviews.
Yeah.
Gene wanted to do the GR Productions. And I mean, he carried it like that. I mean, like at first, when we first got there, it was like, he would tell guys, okay, if you book Guy, you got to book Today.
Wow.
So we end up getting on a lot of the Budweiser Superfest side shows, like those gigs where they would come off to the Superfest and do the little side shows in a smaller venue.
Wow.
We end up doing all of those shows, and then we would do some Budweiser Superfest shows.
Wow.
So that, I mean, it created like him doing that created an atmosphere for what he wanted to do with his playing with the company, which is, saying, I think Puffy took that, because he used to be around back then. I think he took that point and did it with Bad Boy. Like,
wow.
I'm gonna get something to have every group. And he made it work.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think. Well, so even back in those early days, Puffy, I thought he came later.
Yeah, but Puffy was still around. He was an A&R dude, so he was still around. You would see him. You would see him in different places. We would be at different events. He would be around. He wasn't the Puffy that everybody know now.
Yeah. But was he with Uptown or was he just on his?
He was. He still was with Uptown at the time.
Oh yeah, because Guy was with Uptown, so he was always watching and seeing what you guys were doing.
Yeah,
okay.
Much, yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay, so I guess a lot of us don't know much about. I know about Abstract and Deja and stuff, but what was it like for them performing? Could because I've seen their videos, but I never saw them live. I mean, could they hold their own live?
Oh, definitely. They sounded pretty much like the record. That was Gene's stickler. Like, Gene was a stickler. Like, yo, we got to practice. You got to sound like this record.
Wow.
Don't be deviating far from the record. Get that down. We're gonna do this one little part where you give them all you got, and don't do that no more in the show. And he was really a stickler about practice. I mean, like I said, we hadn't been there. I think the first day we got there, he had Guy locked into the studio and they couldn't leave. He's like, yo, because I think he came in to listen to the show, and they didn't have the show right. What I'm saying? And Gene was basically like, yo, we ain't doing no show this weekend. Y'all gonna stay in here and rehearse all night. And when I come in the morning, if y'all ain't got this show right, I'm canceling the gig.
Wow.
And so they end up having to stay really all night. You know what I'm saying? And we were there all night too because we were getting ready for this today thing. But they stayed all night, and I think Gene came in at like 10 o'clock that next morning to listen to them do the show.
My goodness. And I guess, when you see them performing later on, you could see how important it was
Oh,
to
definitely.
get it to get it right. And I guess that's what Barry Gordy was about, the excellence. If you want to get to the next level, you need to put on the show and
Definitely right.
stuff.
You know what I'm saying?
How go ahead.
Teddy took on that mantle too. You know, I'm used to that with him. It's like, you know, that just when I got back with Ted, it's like that's what we did. Like, you know, we practiced. You know what I'm saying? When you ain't want to practice, he gets super mad.
Okay, okay, no, we'll get to that. So, and I guess the other thing, how was today? Because they had that first album was really hot, but how were they performing? And I know Bob's probably one of the top five, since from the 90s to today, still one of the top three or four vocalists. But how was he with the rest of how was today and their performance back in those days?
Oh man, we were hot, man. I mean, like, you know, it's funny because, you know, after Mucho started doing the programming for the show, like Ted and Mucho used to get into these little programming beefs.
Oh, what do you
You
mean?
know, well, not beefs, but like, you know, these little competitions. You know what
Oh,
I'm saying? Because like shows that we were on with them, you know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying, it became a competition with inside of GR Productions. So because like, you know, G's thing is like, yo, when you get on stage, you smash everybody.
yeah,
So that's how, you know, we used to kind of carry it. And, you know, saying like, yo, when we get on stage, we here to smash everybody, even guy. You know what I'm saying? So it was just that thing, you know, and you know, I always try to make sure I do my part by making sure nothing break down,
yeah, yeah.
everything is running. You know what I'm saying? So I'm running around the stage, I'm learning how to do monitors and how front of house. I'm learning how to do everything.
Wow. Who in those days? Who do you think had the best show? I mean, you had Today, and you had Guy. When you have Aaron, and you had Bob.
I
Who do you?
mean, I think Guy had a better show because of the content of their material. They had more hits.
They had the hits, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, and then like they had like between like then it was, you know, Bernard, Dinky, and RCL and Abe on, you know, on drums, but it's like the way they perform, you know, like Bernard and Dinky would sing backgrounds,
Wow,
you know what I'm saying, along with, you know, guys. So it made it like, man, it used to be so powerful.
wow. And then okay, so is this thinking that because when I spoke to Mucho, he said he was the one who was part of the Jamaica Boys.
Yeah, Dinky was a part of the Jamaican Boys. Yep.
Wow, goodness, and wow. So in all this stuff, and then you mentioned that you were also in the studio though. So they're having their live performances, but then after when they're making the tracks and remixes, what were you doing?
Man, like I said, when they was doing that, I was just soaking it up. I was learning. I would listen to stuff, and then I would go to the house, and I had the MPC, and I would try to make stuff like it.
Okay, because Mucho mentioned that Gene gave him a copy. Is it this? This was after they. Was it before they split, or did he also have an MPC in the house?
After they split, like, you know, saying, you know, Mucho became Gene kind of put Basic Black together, his rendition of Basic Black together right before they split. So GR Productions split. So that's when we got introduced to Daryl. You know, Aaron was acting up, and Gene was like, hey, you know what I'm saying, they want to be acting up, I'll make me another group. And that's basically how Basic Black, that everybody knows, kind of got, you know, created.
Oh, what do you mean? So Basic Black wasn't supposed to be like a forefront group?
Well, initially he brought them up as to be a group, but it wasn't like, you know, he wasn't really focused on it at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, he was like, he had signed Daryl because Daryl was like a major competition for Aaron. You know what I'm saying?
Replace Aaron? Was it to replace?
Yeah, just in case he needed to. But when the whole group kind of started acting funny, Gene was like, well, you go over here with those boys from Columbus, and y'all come up with some material. So that's kind of how the Basic Black that everybody knows got started.
Okay, so I mean, from your point of view, when you were there though, was Daryl already? Because I think would you say he was a drum tech, but was he around you with you when you before?
Yeah, Daryl was Guy's drum tech, so he would be out with Guy. You know what I'm saying? And I would be out with Today, so we were always around each other.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But at the time, he was a drum tech. He wasn't, you know what I'm saying, the singer of the group.
But could you tell he could sing? Did you know he could sing?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Because, you know what I'm saying, he was already singing and doing stuff before, you know what I'm saying? And then, you know, of course, when you come into an environment like that, everybody knows who can do what. You know, you got Dinky talking about, oh, he a beast, and Bernard is talking about, oh, he's dope and he's a beast, and so you know what I'm saying. So you learn, you get that from all those
Mm.
guys.
And your thought was that Gene actually thought, okay, Aaron, I'm going to get rid of you and put in Dezo in Guy.
Well, he said he said that he signed Dezo because Dezo was a threat to the guy thing because they both came because Aaron and Dezo were really good friends.
Oh,
So they knew each other already from church and whatnot. So, but Gene thing was saying like, hey, if Aaron if they get to acting up, he can put Dezo in Aaron's spot.
wow.
You know what I'm saying? But it just so happened that the group was acting up. So Gene was like, well, you go over here with these Columbus boys because, like I told you, Mucho and Teddy was having these programming battles. You know what I'm saying?
Was it getting serious or was it fun or was it?
No, it was fun most of the time, but then sometimes it got a little funky. But you know what I'm saying? Just for the competition thing, you know how it is when somebody say, "Oh, they killed y'all last night." You know what I'm saying? Teddy's a real dude. He don't like to lose. You know what I'm saying? He don't like to lose. So
yeah.
So it became a thing where, hey, you know what I'm saying? Then Mucho is like, he like that too. He's like, hey, I'm winning. I got it on my chest. I'm Superman. You know what I'm saying? So it became a thing where, they kind of like, were at like, it was competition, but sometimes it became a little beef or whatever. But,
and Gene, and did Gene, did he like it or what was his thought?
He did, but he always tried to, he always tried to play it down. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, it didn't become an issue until the group started acting up, and that's when he told Daryl to come to the house and, like, go over there and start writing some songs with these guys. Basic Black, you're going to be their lead single.
Wow. Now, and a lot of questions that a lot of fans always ask is about, what could you see stuff happening that's, the sort of, because JR Productions was, as I said, was the forefront of a lot of things before Uptown, before before Bad Boy and stuff. But the whole gist as to why it crumbled and all these great acts disappeared and at the same time, being there, could you see? I mean, you've got Today, you've got everyone there. Could you start to see camps and strains? Or I mean, especially since you were not in the group at that point, you were almost like the middle guy.
Well, I mean, we didn't have, like, you saw little things, like you saw little parts with Gene. It was mostly like stuff that Cass had disagreements with Gene, like, so you start seeing those little things, but it wasn't nothing at the time that I saw that was that major that made the company split. I mean, we were actually getting ready to have our company Christmas party.
Wow.
And, you know what I'm saying? Then it was like, okay, and he was like, Gene was sitting down and he was like, he left me, man. He left me. So I was like, huh? Who left you? You know what I'm saying? But, and then the company was planning on moving to Atlanta. So I think that had a part with it too. I don't think they wanted to go to Atlanta, you know what I'm saying? And, there's other things, I guess, that was going on with, Ted and Gene, behind the scenes, But I didn't see a lot of, like, hesitation, you know what I'm saying? I mean, Gene thing was always trying to give, his workers, his people that's making the bread, things that they want, I like spoiling everybody, but.
Yeah. So then I guess the big thing was that the decision is made. I know Basic Black moved back to Georgia because, hey, they're from Atlanta, they're from Columbus, so this is home. Zan decides to go with GR.
Yeah, because Zan went down. Zan went with GR, and then I think initially, I don't know what happened with Abstrac, because they were supposed to, from what I understood, you know what I'm saying. But Zan definitely, ended up coming down, and I guess so he was like one of the writers. Ted asked me to stay in New York, but I was like, man, I don't know nobody up here. Like, why you want me to stay? You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's stuff that they used to call, little nicknames they used to call me back in the day, the best roadie, because I didn't know how to be one. So I mean, so when I was set up, I would go get dressed like the band and stuff like that.
Okay.
Then I learned how to be a roadie. You know what I'm saying? Like, you put on all black and you run across the stage.
Oh yeah. So no one can see you. Yeah.
Yeah, so nobody can see me. But I was like, man, shoot, I wanted everybody to see me. I used to have my little outfit on too.
Oh my goodness.